9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Okay, yeah, that'll work. Okay, cool.
And we're live.
We're live. Yeah.
John, it's been forever, man. How you been?
Roller coastery.
Roller coastery.
Yeah.
In
I
what
I
way?
think I think what happens is life gets you down and then you take it as a reflection of who you are, and then it kind of creates this cycle.
For sure. Yeah, you had some highs and some lows recently, or
um Mostly lows. It's been kind of where it's like your OCD says, "Oh, you're a bad person. You want to harm people aggressively." And you're like, "No, that's not me." But it just keeps going at you.
that is tough. What are you doing as far as artwork?
Oh, let's see. Um, I'm trying to figure out how to make the dip the shoe scene as tasteful as possible for my short.
Okay.
You know,
The
so it's
dip the
like
shoe scene.
the dip the shoe, like from Roger Rabbit. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
so I'm like, this thing won't get a G rating, but how close can we get to that G border without going to softball?
Mm-hmm. Well, and
And
that's
so
tough
it's
too because when they did Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that's a PG movie, but that was before they had PG-13, isn't it? Like,
no,
was it?
it's weird because in the late 80s they didn't know how to apply the PG-13 as liberally as they do now, but the PG-13 rating dates back to 1984. I think Red Dawn was the first one to get certified, and then there were a few others afterward.
Wasn't Spielberg pretty much involved in trying to
Oh
create that?
yeah, he did. It's like it's kind of ironic because in a way, oh close. In a way, it's kind of a rule for the and not for me because they let Temple of Doom slide with the PG rating.
Should have never let that slide with a PG rating.
No, and so Spielberg is like, let's have a PG-13, and so they did that after Temple of Doom, and yeah, it's been this weird thing where it's like you can show almost anything as long as you don't have blood.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, so it's this weird kind of, it's almost like it's like searching for the limit, and at the same time I feel like before the PG-13 thing, things were more violent, but they were also more human. They felt more human, I think, to their approach to violence, where it's like, oh, okay, this is a bad guy getting shot down and not a faceless army. Now it's like it seems like every other scene has a scene where the bad guys mow out innocent people to prove they're bad, and it's like, why not just have like a headline that says people murdered and not show you know
Well, nuance isn't allowed anymore, right?
oh, but that's, oh man, I better take the microphone away. Is it crackling?
No.
Okay,
I
make
mean,
sure it doesn't peak
just in
there.
holding it, but
um but that's weird because the film industry kind of goes back and forth between nuance and in your face depending on the genre. It's like if you're in a 1950s Cold War movie, it's not going to be like Russians are really nice guys. it, so it kind of goes around. It really depends on the genre and how important the film industry thinks the audience actually is.
that seems to be the thing that's going up and down in roller coastering too. Actually, is how intelligent is the audience,
Well,
and I think Hollywood just can never make up their mind on that. They're like, oh, they're super complex and intelligent, and they want nuance and subtlety and art, and then before you know it, they're not leaving anything to the imagination anymore.
I mean, when you think about it, though, art, artistic filmmaking probably dies at the $70 million range, because when you get that much more into it, studios want to make a film they know will be safe, and then they don't let the filmmakers do what they want to do. Oh wow, blocking it adjusted it. Wow, that's weird. Weird physics. So it's a weird paradigm, because I think the thing is the mid-budget genre is kind of migrating towards the streaming services, and the big budget genre is just getting more kind of brainless, to be honest, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I see they're relying more heavily on franchises.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you can. What's nice about that is I think you can sneak some art in along the way, but it still be, each film is still 90% popcorn. It doesn't have to be 100% art the whole time. You're not limited to one film, is what I'm saying. To really
Oh no,
make an
absolutely not.
artistic piece, which is nice. I feel like we got that with an artistic look at a recovering addict, or what's another way to put it? Somebody who was shirking responsibility and then adopted it. I think we saw that with Tony Stark across 22 films.
Oh, here's the thing is, regardless of what you think about the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, Tony Stark's character development is one of the best instances in the entire medium. Because you see him start from not caring about anybody to, spoiler, So it's like, in between all these movies, you see him go closer and closer to that destination, but it's subtle, and it's like, okay, just do that with all your characters, then you'll need 40 movies.
Well, if they keep building that way, maybe that's what we'll start seeing.
Yeah.
Honestly, television to me is more interesting right now because you get the character development that characters deserve.
Oh yeah.
I think that was why it was a brilliant move to bring Joss Whedon on for the Avengers movies.
Here's my thing about Whedon is, I like him as an artist, but I hear he's a terrible person, and I'm like, no, can't you be a good artist and a good person? Make it easy.
I've never heard any cast speak ill of him. So,
oh, really?
not yet.
Not yet.
Well, are you about to break that for me though?
I mean, here's the weird thing about the Snyder situation. It's I think he should have never had that 3-movie deal to begin with, but Warner Brothers did him wrong. I think we can agree on that. To say, it's like, oh, you're having this situation, we'll just replace you, instead of just letting him abandon it on his own terms, or, and so I think from an archival standpoint, I'm supporting this Snyder cut, but I probably won't be in a huge rush to rent it.
I missed a segue here. We went from Whedon to Snyder.
Because they connect. Because Joss Whedon basically was doing half of the Justice League movie, and from what I hear, the parts don't fit together well because they're different tones, and
I didn't realize Whedon was involved in Justice League.
What?
Whedon was involved in Justice League?
Oh yeah, he was.
I was not aware of this.
You can tell because Superman's smiling. Ooh, that was a jab. Sorry. One, you get one. It is, and the thing is, I think Whedon was pushed in by Warner Brothers because they did want that Avengers magic going on the DC universe, but I still think that a director who starts a project should be able to see that project into its most reasonable cut out there. And so, I'll support HBO Max, but that doesn't mean I'll see the 4 hour Justice League. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like I'm mind the idea of a 4 hour superhero movie, but it should have been Watchmen. Watchmen screamed, make a 4 hour movie. And the thing is, the ultimate cut's 3.5 hours, but it's like, it's not what it isn't is it isn't framed in the way that the comic is framed. And oh, I could get the comic, but it'd be take up too much time, and you wouldn't see it either way. But I think Watchmen is a case where there was no way you could make a masterpiece from that source material because it's just too big. And I think that Snyder got it both ways, from the purist who wanted it to feel like the book, which is very drama-like and understated and subtle, and the general audience who wanted it, a family-friendly superhero movie, which is not the Watchmen story. So, I think it's an underrated movie, but I also think it's a movie that should have been a miniseries.
Completely agree on that. I wouldn't even say a miniseries. I'm thinking 2 seasons,
Oh,
2 14-episode seasons.
oh man! But then they could go all. They could carve out each character arc to the it would be an amazing series, which is probably why it won't happen. It's like,
that's true.
Because frankly, it's the technology level of Dr. Manhattan. You would need to have computer special effects to bring that character to life, and without that you could probably make it for around 60 million.
But we're seeing that. I mean, we're seeing the investment in television series, especially for comic series. It's kind of a bad example right now because they've been on the shelf since Disney Plus decided to launch and take the Marvel rights from Netflix for the Daredevil series and the Punisher series and Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. Whether you like each of those or all of those characters or not, you have to admit that at least Daredevil is phenomenal. What? No?
Daredevil. Here's my thing
series?
about Daredevil.
The Netflix series.
The Netflix series. Here's my thing about Daredevil is I think it's about as good as a superhero based property could get, bar none. And it's like, which is sad because I'm like, I really like comics, but I think what they've done with the story is essentially taking the drama of comics and combined it with kind of a really realistic flavor that you couldn't get in a comic book even if you wanted that. And I'm not saying to diss comic illustrators.
No, there's a certain feel to the medium of comic books it's inherent. You can't get away from it. Same thing as if you do a black and white film instead of a color film. It's going to have a certain instant feel to it. I see what you're saying there. Punisher, I'm not a John Bernthal Punisher fan.
All snap.
It's hard to do one better than Thomas Jane, I think. Oh, Thomas Jane. Yeah, Thomas Jane. I thought he was great. I especially liked the fan-made Dirty Laundry Punisher. I don't know if you saw that short.
No.
They even got Ron Perlman in on that one. It was great.
Oh, wow.
So Thomas Jane and Ron Perlman in a little short, basically while Frank Castle's kind of laying low and just not really doing much. Kind of like he was there for a while when nothing was working as far as Punisher. Like we got Warzone and it was awful. Apparently, because I haven't seen it yet.
I mean, this could be its own rant. When you complain about things you haven't seen, you're kind of asking for fans who like it to have legitimate reason to criticize it. It's like, oh, I haven't seen Daredevil Affleck. Like, I know it's not going to be good because that era wasn't. They didn't know how to do superhero movie. Everyone wants to be X-Men, and X-Men doesn't even want to be X-Men. And so I know it's going to be awful. But I can't say it's awful because I haven't seen it. I'm you know.
I do recommend the director's cut of
Oh, I heard that
Ben
was better.
Affleck
Yeah.
Daredevil. There are moments that were rearranged in one
Mm.
sequence. And there's actually a really critical character moment that is completely different in the director cut.
Oh, that's good.
It's like they shot it two different ways, and for
Ah.
the production they went for the cinema version they went one way, and for the director's cut he was like, no, I really wanted this, and I guess the production house beat him. Who knows? There's a few movies like that. Dodgeball is a big one. Like, if you want to really be surprised at how much a director can hate the production company that put him in business,
That's
listen to
funny.
the commentary for Dodgeball, because that guy they took the wind out of his sails. You could just hear it in the whole commentary. The ending of for those who don't know, the ending of Dodgeball is supposed to be entirely different than the ending you get.
Well, I hear it's kind of like that with Doctor Strangelove. Like, they had a different version, and Kubrick's like, no, I'm Kubrick.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to say I'm Kubrick.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like Kubrick's like the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to criticize Kubrick, and I'm like, hey, I exist.
Yeah.
2001 was too long. You don't have to have people jumping around in slow motion all the time before it gets old. I think that in defense of it, it's a grand spectacle. It has a lot of hidden themes and whatever's. It shows kind of the parallels between the story of evolution and space. It's got that social commentary, but it could be a half hour shorter and still be as good a movie. Oh,
That makes sense.
oh man.
I mean, so I'll pick on Kubrick, but it's not for any of his work. It's for the lack of involving the crew and the cast in the creative process.
What?
I feel like, and we talked about this a little bit last time with the Archer theory. When you say that I am the end all be all, the creative vision for this entire film or story, right? Which is something that Ron Howard preaches against, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Got to listen to his masterclass. Fantastic stuff. Great insights. Yeah. When you isolate it to just your vision, you can't see everything that would be worth having in the story, it's not possible to see it all. You need that trusted outside influence to really make a movie better than you could make it on your own.
Hey, I'm gonna spoil Vertigo. Have you seen Vertigo?
I have seen Vertigo.
Okay.
I've also
The
seen
letters.
High Anxiety.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. The letter scene, Hitchcock shot it, but he didn't want it in the final cut, but the studios forced him to put it in the movie. And I think what happens is a better movie in an odd way, because you care more about the journeys that that let's see, Madeline's her fake character. I forget her, but the Kim Novak character and James Stewart, you care about their journeys more because you're privy to information that the other character doesn't have. And
Yeah, completely agree on that too. I'm glad you mentioned or brought up Hitchcock because
Ooh.
he's dear to my heart. I love Hitchcock. Went back just recently, and I've been watching Alfred Hitchcock Presents with Heather because she
Oh,
hasn't
wow.
seen all of those, and she's starting to see why I can predict movie endings so often. It's because Hitchcock's already done it. Just whatever it is, if it's a twist, he's done it. It's already happened. You just go back and watch that. Between that and the Twilight Zone, like if you watch the originals all the way through, there's no plot line that's gonna surprise you after that,
That's my,
in my opinion. But
well, that's
I
my,
love his use of coming back to
that's
what we were
kind of
talking about.
my,
Go ahead.
well, I can't hear you.
I was gonna say I like his use of subtlety. I like that he can show what happens to a character in shadow in the background rather than having you see everything, right?
Yeah, I think that's good, but I also think that's a byproduct of the production code. Um, you know about the production code?
I do not. And
Oh, okay.
if I did, I'd still want
Let's
you to tell
free
me
film
again.
school. You know,
Yeah, okay.
the production code was a restriction, um, re, a catch-all restrictive code that basically forced filmmakers to not show everything. And so part of being Hitchcock is he's trying to show everything he can, and they're like, no, you can't show everything. And so it makes for really weird movie watching. Like when you watch an epic that's objectively violent, like Spartacus, you're like, wait, you couldn't show this this character dying in a B movie, but you can show a guy getting, cut with a sword. It's kind of an example of bias, but the production code lasted until the late 60s and um, got replaced by the movie ratings.
Ah, I see. Okay. That makes more sense now. So, one of the things I like about different codes and different rating systems between countries,
Oh yeah.
headbutts of all things. You
Mm.
can't show a headbutt in Europe.
Oh no.
Like that's an instant no-go. And here it's like just another martial arts move. That
That's,
is some of the stuff just doesn't make any sense at all. I never understand it, but it's fun when you see a European filmmaker come and do an American movie in the US because then he goes by the US stuff. So he'll just put headbutts everywhere for no reason. It's it's just always funny to me. Seeing those culture differences and what people will do once they're unleashed. It's tons of fun. So what are you working on right now? What do you got going on? I know
um.
you've been dabbling in some other mediums too. Because
Oh.
stop motion's always like your heart. I get that,
Oh yeah.
but you're
Well.
playing with 2D. You're playing with some other stuff too,
Oh
right?
yeah. I'm working with all the What happened, ironically, is I updated my Mac, and the operating system is no longer compatible with the animation software. But fortunately, I had partitioned the drive earlier, so I just swapped it out to a different partition. But like, it's kind of annoying. It's like Brave New World. um, but honestly, it's weird. But the more I've been trying to do CGI, the more respect I have for CGI animators and modelers and shaders. There are people who go over the text, and um, it's not something just anyone can do. But at the same time, I think I think it's better for a team to do it than for you to try to do it yourself, unless you're a master, you know, because what happens is when you watch a movie in a theater, that movie is going to be too, close to 300 million to make the film, and hundreds of people working on the special effect. So unless you're making something that's purely CGI, what you see will be instantly subconsciously compared to that $300 million movie. So I say, instead of trying to replicate the wheel of the Hollywood machine, try buying some props and doing some in-camera effects, because the thing is, even if it doesn't reach that standard, you're at least showing something the audience hasn't seen possibly ever.
That's true. Does that feel like something that you really aim for whenever you're doing a story and putting it to film, is that you're trying to show them something through effects that they've just never seen before? Or is it, yeah, I'll just go with that question. is
I
it
mean,
usually something you want to make sure they've never seen before?
that's complicated, but I think you should ask a similar question and I'll find the answer, like something a little
Okay.
different.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you find old tricks that you like to bring to a new audience because you think they haven't seen them before? Or do you like to create something entirely new that maybe people in film haven't really seen before?
Oh yeah,
Or
the
in the
latter.
industry?
The latter, because the thing is, um, with skeletons, right? Skeletons have been aggressive. They've been fast. Um, they've been exciting. They've been swashbuckly, but they haven't been scary. Because that wasn't the aim of those kinds of movies. You watch Sinbad to see Sinbad fight the skeleton. You watch Jason fight the skeletons because that's exciting, and it's a different feel than pure horror. So to me, it's taking what's old and putting it in a different context. Um,
So Vincent Price films were really good for skeleton use, I thought. It was
oh man,
always subtle, but it was always a practical effect, right? It was never stop motion. You
oh,
never
is
animated the
this
bone.
like where the string hovering?
There was some string hovering situations. There's some uh, where a skeleton floats up in, let's say, an acid bath, something like that. There's a few different, just again, it was them working within the confines of what they could do in a lot of ways. But yeah, there's a scene where he actually animates a skeleton to trick somebody,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
he's got a whole cable set up, like he's wearing a rig with pulleys and stuff, where he's trying to spin them to make the arms move and stuff. Great moment. But yeah, so yeah, Vincent Price stuff.
Vincent Price. I'll have to
Some
look.
great skeleton work there.
Let's see.
Wait, are you not a Vincent Price buff? I'm kind of surprised,
Vincent Price.
actually.
The trouble is with he has such a wide career
Yeah,
that
yeah,
it's like, oh, okay, House of Wax, and his later works, but a lot of the earlier stuff you forget is there.
yeah. House on Haunted Hill is probably still my favorite of
Oh
his.
man.
The Haunting, his version of The Haunting. I think it was him. Maybe not. I'm gonna retract that one for now, but I will say House on Haunted Hill, phenomenal work. His Hidden Pendulum is actually really good too.
Oh, awesome. That's
Yeah. So you've got a few options. Like you said, he's got a wide breadth to his work, but there are some standout favorites. Um, the Tingler, that was a pretty funny one because that was one where they rigged all the theater seats with a little electric charge.
oh, that's technically 4D.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He did. He went 4D with it. Apparently, the Tingler was something that would latch to your spine and start controlling you.
Oh wow, scary.
And so it gets loose in the film and ends up in the audience. So he breaks fourth wall a bit.
But he gets really weird with it um because he has a scene where a hand comes out from like a pool of blood, but the thing is he shot the blood in color, but people were wearing black and white makeup to make it look like the thing was Sin City back in its
Nice.
day.
Yeah. So Price, he acted in a lot. I don't know of any stuff that he actually produced. I am curious as to how much involvement he had in that creative element.
Now I'm going on Wiki to save face.
See, this is one of the better reasons, or one of the reasons that podcasts over Zoom is better, because then you can check your references right there.
Oh yeah. Okay, cooking, yummy.
I mean, I got a great recommendation for an upcoming cooking show, by the way.
Oh, he worked with Roger Corman. That guy, I think is he still alive? I'm gonna check.
I'd be surprised. Mr.
Like,
Price passed away shortly
yeah,
after
he
Edward Scissorhands.
no, Corman's still alive.
Is he really?
Yeah, like
I wonder
the
what
King
he's
of B
working
movies.
on.
Like, wow, he's gonna outbeat Betty White if he.
Is he working on anything? Do you see any projects?
Well,
in process
people attach their name to their stuff because it's but let's see. He stopped directing in the 70s, so I would say he probably has his name on as kind of an executive producer, which is kind of a nice credit to have, because then you get the pay and you don't have to get involved with making the thing possible. Unless you're TV, it kind of flips around, It's
Well,
like, I don't know. This is sad, but it's like I felt better about spending money on Batman v Superman when I know that Nolan was getting back pay as an executive producer. He's probably wringing his eyes and crying into.
Hey, you know what? No, I don't think so, because what I've heard from him, or I haven't heard him speak about it. I've heard Bale talk about it more than him, and I've heard Hans talk about some stuff more than I've heard Nolan himself. He kind of stays out of the limelight himself, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, they just didn't want to make another one. Like, if he could get out of making more Batman movies, he was fine with that. I didn't realize too, they shot every movie like it was going to be the only one, or their last one. So Batman Begins, no sequel is anticipated.
Oh yeah, that's what I read.
Yeah.
So, and I think what that means is it means it's standalone, but it also means it's 7 years for the whole trilogy. And people want that Marvel money. That's not blaming Marvel for the, except that I'm blaming Marvel for getting their stuff together, but I'm also blaming the studios for trying to recreate the Marvel magic instead of doing their own thing.
Yeah, we instantly knew that Justice League was going to be terrible.
Oh,
because they were doing it specifically because Avengers had come out and
was
successful. Yeah. And it's like, just do your own thing.
Yep. Well, it's weird, because I think the thing is, I think Justice League could be a good movie if they made it all Lord of the Ringsy, with each character having this sense of deep myth. But I think the best we get is 300 with superheroes, and I think that'll be watchable, and I'm hoping it gets to that level, but I'm skeptical.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Why do you think Marvel sees success and DC doesn't?
Well,
the copy.
Because this is where I get nerdy. Because Marvel's producer driven, and you have Kevin Feige basically controlling everything, more or less. And DC is director driven, which is hit and miss depending on who the directors are. And then you have, I think, the scrambling to get things done so that they can be the next Marvel, which isn't going to happen.
Do you think the dark edge element of DC Comics, it's inherent in their work? They're usually a slightly darker, edgier comic. Do you think that is playing a factor in it, the success?
I actually think it's complicated, because I think there are good dark Superman stories, and bad lighthearted Superman stories. But the thing is you have to figure out who the characters are before you take that approach. And I think the trouble is with DC Comics, the movie is the movie version is like Marvel but dark, it's like
Right.
dark Marvel, and it's like, no, I want to see something that feels unlike anything I've seen, to be honest.
So DC has great success in the animated medium.
Oh, well, it's because they have television writers. You got TV writers and comic book writers now and then. So,
Well, it's also animated, so I wonder sometimes too if the fact that it is a cartoon that inherently lightens the edge a bit, kind of lifts that edge off, because they get
I
away with
don't
the
think so.
dark
I actually
storylines.
disagree with you
Yeah.
because Dark Knight Returns, you know, it's more or less the entire comic with all the violence in it. And so when you see Joker get battering in his eyeball, you don't say, "Oh, that's a cute cartoon." You say, "Man, that's violent." And you know, so I think it's really has more to do with people interpreting the films as more kind of accessible than the idea that the DC live action movies are more dark and serious.
Interesting. So we got to talk Phantasm if we're going to talk about that.
Man. Oh, okay. Okay.
So clear.
If we're going full Phantasm, I think we have to bring up The Dark Knight first.
Definitely.
Because if we don't, to me, it's kind of cowardly to bring up Phantasm as its own thing without realizing what I think is its biggest competition. It's Dark Knight is an incredible piece of cinema.
You think Dark Knight is the closest comparison? Because I would go with Begins, so I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, structurally, it's more like Begins, but The Dark Knight is such a good movie that it's hard to imagine that many superhero movies being much better than that, but Phantasm is.
Whoa, you think it's better? I didn't realize that.
Oh, did we not listen to the last episode?
I think it's good. Is it better?
I actually think it's better. It's got the best Batman. It's got the most
Kevin
enthralling kind of maniacal Joker. It's got the best, in my opinion, score. I actually put the score a little bit ahead of Danny Elfman's work by the late Shirley Walker. I think her scoring edges out Elfman's kind of gothic style, but it's really close. It's and it's got the best atmosphere. It's got the best action. That seems like a rave, but the thing where I think Dark Knight has competition is in who the villain is, but with Mask of the Phantasm, the villain is more the villain within, and I think that's deeper in its own way.
Yeah, I mean, you hit some really good points there. I don't know which one I would think is better. I'm just more surprised that you would say Phantasm was better, because I know we're both Nolan fans, I think.
More or less.
Yeah.
I don't like the Prestige. That's its own, because Prestige is an example of good plotting, kind of going ahead of good character development. It's like, I don't care about the characters, so I don't care about the trick, and so it's but
yeah, it was really hard to wrap my mind around what was motivating Hugh Jackman's character in The Prestige. Bale's I got. That one made
Bale's,
sense. He was the artist trying to create art as passionately as possible.
Yeah.
And it's pure. He was trying to create pure illusion.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I didn't feel connected to Hugh Jackman's character's motivation.
Yeah, well, Hugh Jackman lost his wife, so that's a pretty severe motivation starting out. But then he kind of began like, oh, I'd rather see how he works. And it's like, no, that's kind of that'd be like having Hamlet. All right, Hamlet, and he's like, no, I'd rather not kill my uncle. I'd rather just hope it all goes away. I'm just gonna have a nice vacation. That it be kind of like, I guess that's where it is to me. It's like derailing Hamlet. You know,
Mm.
the motivation should be so simple that you see how the characters kind of evolve from it, instead of just kind of saying, "Oh, it's the trick movie now. We're watching the trick. We want to see the trick," and it's like,
I was watching Penn Jillette. He was asked by some magazine, I forget who it was, to review movie magic tricks. And he's like, yeah, that was, he would say, yeah, that was pretty good. That really only works in film, or, he'd break down the tricks for you a bit. And he does the two doors trick. He reviews the two doors trick from The Prestige. He's like, never, ever would an audience buy that.
that's funny.
It's like, man, that for me, that was a fairly clever trick. But he's like, the moment you have to have a double, it's done. You're out. You can't do it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Talking
But
about it being a tricks movie, it was funny because the one of the party piece tricks just doesn't work.
oh, that's funny. Well, I think Nolan is a complicated beast, because I think he's very smart and he's very technically proficient at crafting a good script, having good actors. But I think he's kind of, it's like he's kind of thrown red herrings by theme, which is harsh to say, but it's like if he has a good theme, he kind of forgets about the other things that go together.
Well,
And that's,
I know you're not a fan of the magic rope in The Dark Knight.
oh, the tangle. Yeah, I think the thing is that's more of a convenience. To me, where I think I disagree with Nolan from a storytelling level is the idea that theme can trump character arcs. And I think,
Interesting.
yeah, I actually think he's so smart that he kind of caves to the idea of, oh, if this idea is perfect, right, then this character arc will be fine enough. And I think that's not how good drama works. But his movies are excellent to watch for their labyrinthine qualities. I think they're just,
I love the lighting of a Nolan movie.
oh yeah, Feister.
It's killer. It's so crisp, and then, like, everything that's important is always crisp. It's so good.
Yeah.
Just finished watching. I finally sat down. Let me back up. There are certain movies when I see a preview for them, I go, "That's going to be a killer movie." I gotta wait till I'm in the right headspace to give it the audience it deserves when I watch it. And Interstellar was one of those, so I finally watched it, and holy cow, that was amazing.
That one I was think is one of his better emotional pieces.
I was going to ask you about that
Because I
that's
think
character driven entirely. The theme kind of facilitated the character story.
yeah, I don't know. To me, I think it's the anti 2001. If 2001 is we're gonna show we're gonna show people jump around in space for 10 minutes. This is kind of more like, okay, this is what does love symbolize in quantum physics. It's like the opposite trajectory of 2001. And to me, it's like, I like the movie. It tries to be more than the movie it actually is, but I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's okay.
What's your least favorite Nolan movie and why?
Oh, Prestige.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely The Prestige then.
Yeah, which is weird because people love it. People love it, and it makes me feel lonely.
Well, The Illusionist, I think, was a better film.
Oh man, I watched half of it and then got bored and didn't finish it. But
Yeah.
I should,
Yeah. It's not saying much to say that The Illusionist was better than The Prestige.
now what I have to do is watch The Illusionist and then the French animated Illusionist just to say I've watched all the magic movies.
There you go. There you go.
watch Now You See Me. Or
So what made Nolan's work on Batman what it was to you? Because it's clearly not Tim Burton. It's clearly not gosh, I'm blanking on his name now.
Shumacher.
It's not Joel Schumacher. It was to me, it felt like it was pulling from the animated themes more.
Yeah, I tried.
So why does that trilogy work for Nolan?
The reason that, well, first of all, he got to direct a trilogy. Like, the thing is, no one's gonna ever see how Tim Burton's Batman 3 was, though you could technically say Batman and Robin is Burton's Batman 3, which gets weird, you know.
Batman Forever isn't?
Yeah, because it's produced by Burton, but it's totally Warner Brothers Hot Toys commercial, you know.
Yeah. Well, you said Batman and Robin, so I didn't know if you meant Batman and Robin or you meant Forever. Because
Forever, like, I should give Robin a chance. Give Batman Clooney a chance.
Bat Clooney, I like Bat Clooney. I thought
Bat
he was
Clooney,
Bruce Wayne.
That's why Superman works alone. Shared universe.
Yeah.
But I think the reason Nolan's films work is they feel like they're a part of this world instead of a part of a world which superheroes actually exist. But I think it doesn't work. What?
You don't hear about Metropolis at all in Nolan's stuff, do we?
I don't think so. I think that's something that, if you had a reference to a Batman universe, it would be his Batman universe, not anyone outside of that. But you know, I think a shared universe could work, but I also think the reason the shared universe hasn't worked on screen is because they overthink it, you know? Just remake Toy Story and have Batman be Woody and Superman be Buzz. Like, Superman needs to be taken down a peg to uncover his humanity because he's kind of gotten used to being invincible. Batman needs to like Superman. Toy Story, the remake with Batman and Superman, and it'll still be better than 90% of shared universe DC movies.
So I watched Superman.
Superman the movie?
Well, with Henry Cavill.
Here's the thing. I think he hit it out of the park, but I didn't think the movie did.
Agreed. And poor James Marsden, if he can't find a movie where he gets to keep the girl.
Yeah, give James Marsden the girl.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of tired of watching that character for him. You know, The Notebook, X-Men, Superman. Is there a universe where he gets
I think he does in like one of those Katherine Heigl movies. Like,
Oh, oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
Do you hear how her career came to a screeching halt?
Oh, no idea.
Apparently, she just really badmouthed the industry at the wrong time, and
Oh, that's a shame
they
because
shut her
sometimes
down.
the industry needs bad mouthing.
Yeah, from what I remember, what she said was so wrong at the time. It was like she was so off base. It's kind of like when Megan Fox decided to badmouth Michael Bay. He didn't even address why she left or anything in the story for Transformers 3. It's like, yeah, she's gone. It's just amazing how they can shut you down like that. But
I mean, in a way, it's weird because the thing is, it kind of goes back to circles where you have, um, I believe that there are people who have had their careers sabotaged for nefarious purposes. But I also think there comes a point where you haven't gotten immunity, and you're kind of at the threshing hold. It's like, okay, we're gonna let um Courtney go. He's not gonna become a star. Like he might become a star, but it's like I think there's that transitional point where you're just kind of there. And I think that in a way the industry kind of forces you to either go down and go work with smaller people or to ride the coattails of someone really big. But it's kind of like it's complicated because I think good actors tend to get typecast, and you know good directors can also get typecast. It's like, oh, we need an old period film. Oh, let's get Spielberg, and it's like, and the thing is, you there's not anything wrong with that, but at the same time, it's kind of a play it safe approach to filmmaking.
yeah, for sure. Um, I realized I conflated the two Superman movies. By the way, I mentioned Marsden. He's actually in Bryan Singer's.
Oh, Bryan Singer. Oh, sorry, Bryan Singer deserves his own soapbox because if he did 1/10 of what people say he did, he should be in prison.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh man,
What things like what?
like they're like it gets really creepy because there are
Really?
reports of him like grooming like young men and boys and like pool parties. It's like nasty stuff, and the thing is they would always get deleted like after they were posted up, so the thing is he's had so many allegations that I believe he's a worse person than Kevin Spacey, and Kevin Spacey's not a a swan.
No, Ratner didn't survive that though.
That's weird how Singer could survive that, because I guess it's because nobody really is like, yeah, Ratner. Usual.
I mean, Ratner apparently is just a general jerk to work with,
Well,
and so when he got busted for doing other stuff, it was like, yeah, just anything to
throw.
just get him out of here. We don't want to work with him anymore. Singer, I think
Yeah.
Singer might be somebody you like working with. I don't know. I
Um,
did. I mean, we do know that kind of stuff happens in the industry. I mean, Andre talked a little bit about that in his episode, and then also, I feel bad that I didn't find this out until a month ago or so that Brendan Fraser, the reason he disappeared was because he got groped by a male producer
well,
at a dinner gala type thing, and when he voiced it, he said, "I don't ever." What he said was, "I don't ever want to do anything with that guy ever again because of this." And what they responded with, they being the industry, was, okay, well, you just never work again. And they just blackballed him from there on out.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, and
Well, it also, oh man, this is sad. It's like, this sounds like it's this big trauma session, but like Terry Crews, like people, um, there was someone who was creepy to him. And so it's like, it must be this power thing where you have people who are male, who are creeps in a position of power, and, they, if they're so bad, they don't care if it's a guy or a girl. They just want that feeling of you can't do anything about it.
yeah, exactly. And if you're a guy right now, you can't. I mean,
Mm.
the Me Too movement did not include men. And that was one of the things that Brendan Fraser talked about, was the Me Too movement helped encourage him to speak out and share his story. And when he did, nobody cared because he's a guy. I don't know that he feels that way, but when I look at it and go, the Me Too movement happened a couple of years ago now, and it took it this long for me to find out Brendan Fraser's story. I had already heard about Ashley Judd and all the others that were speaking up, but
Well, I
apparently
think
this guy tried to get his voice out there and nobody wanted to listen to it. It's like that.
I think there will always be that double standard as long as men are thought of as being powerful. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you're a man, you can take anything, and it's like no, no offense, but we're weak people in strong gish. But you know, the soul is always weak. You know.
Yeah. Anytime we can find a reason to dehumanize somebody,
Mm.
if it's men can take it because they're in places of power. It's like, yeah, okay. Check. That's for me. That's something that I try to check in myself when I detect it. Is like, if I'm coming up with any reason to dehumanize someone or excuse my maliciousness toward them, right?
Mm.
There's something probably not right there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's crazy how the industry works. How did we get on this? It was
We backpedaled. Why Mask of the Phantasm is better than the Dark Knight, or as good, or slightly worse.
yeah, let's bring it back to Batman because
Okay, back to Batman.
so you've got great points. You've got Kevin Conroy as the voice of Batman, which, by the way, his natural voice is Bruce Wayne. Like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
which was awesome to find out. I thought maybe he was still putting that on. You've got Mark Hamill as the
Oh
Joker.
yeah.
I don't know that there's a better Joker for me. Like that
I mean,
cross of mobster and maniacal and
mm,
cheesy funny. It's the cheesy funny that I think is just the cherry on top for that.
but the thing is, it's like he's creepy without seeming like he's trying to be creepy.
Yeah, he's goofy. He's goofy, sinister.
Yeah,
Just a moment. So good.
but
I
that's
wonder if
that's also the Korean studios that animated the Joker. He gets some fantastic animation in that movie.
sure. I watched The Killing Joke just recently. Talk about fantastic animation. That very edgy, very. If the show were to come back, if the animated series were to come back, I'd want that level of animation for it because it was just
Oh, nice.
crisp. I don't know how I feel about the film as a whole, but anyway, back to Phantasm, because until The Killing Joke, Phantasm was the only time we had a proper feature-length film that had Conroy and Hamill, and you've got Dana.
Oh well, you
Delany
had the
as
Batman
Andrea.
and Superman crossover. That was a 2-part episode.
Yeah, but it didn't go theaters, right?
Oh no,
Didn't The Killing Joke make it into
it was like a
select theaters? Yeah.
limited screening, like 2 days. You know.
I just wish Phantasm had the animation talent and artwork that The Killing Joke has.
Oh, but that's kind of a different era because in a way you can research studios better than you know you can see people's work. Back then, the internet was barely a thing, if it was, if it existed.
What was it?
Three?
93 is what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I bet.
yeah, my internet was me connecting through a program called Genie to the library to
Oh,
check
wow.
library inventory. That was it.
I mean, what happens is you back in the internet days is you would actually go outside if you had a piece of media and play outside because the thing wouldn't load. You
Yeah.
know, it's like,
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I remember when, and this is many years later, when the trailer for Star Wars Episode 1 came out.
oh man, I remember the all-nighters everyone else took. I'm like, it's not worth it.
Well, the trailer was 2.5 minutes long,
That's
and
long.
with my 58K modem,
Mm.
it took 2.5 hours to download to watch one 2.5 minute trailer. It was only about 2.5 megs inside. And then if somebody called or somebody picked up the phone while it was downloading, oh, it was toast. It was gone. No, had to start over. The good old days. But yeah,
But yeah,
93.
what
Yeah,
I don't want to do is glom onto Phantasm what the Dark Knight already has. So to me, what I don't want to do is be like, oh, the Dark Knight is a mediocre blockbuster of our day. Like, no, it's an excellent film. But where I think Phantasm reaches over heights is the shade of gray character. The fall of, spoiler alert, it's 1993. The fall of a certain character
yeah.
is more dramatic than the fall of Harvey Dent. You know, it's like,
Yeah. Or so I will jump in movies again. I will definitely say Phantasm is better than Dark Knight Rises. There's just no
oh
question.
no, that's an easy one.
That kind of does parallel the storyline though with what you're talking about with the character surprise and that fall, right? Because oh, what's her name? Ra's al Ghul's daughter.
Oh wow, that's the whole
Spoiler.
plot. Spoiler.
But yeah, but if
2012
you
again.
watch the animated series, you knew that all along. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, the character that we were talking about, fallen from grace in a moment, is like, okay, that's they kind of use that for Dark Knight Rises, but executed it nowhere near at the level that you're talking about in Phantasm.
Yeah. Like the thing is, when you first see the character, um, in the flashbacks, it's a different character than when you see the character becoming. And the thing is, with Harvey Dent, he's kind of like, oh, I'm Gotham's White Knight. I'm, he's good, but he's also serious. And so when he falls, it's not as dramatic.
Yeah,
And to watch someone who's this kind of lighthearted person that Bruce Wayne, spoiler alert, can fall in love with legitimately, um, and watch her kind of fade from grace. I just think it's better drama. And
it no doubt about it. No doubt about it. If we're going to compare the fall of Dent versus the fall of the other character in Phantasm, there's no question. It's Phantasm's.
yeah,
Story
that's
so
what I
much
think is
better.
the tiebreaker. But
Yeah, yeah. Um, so we got Conroy, we've got Hamill, Dana Delaney as Andrea Beaumont.
I think it's weird since you voiced Lois later, so it kind of makes it weird to watch Superman the animated series right after. But
wait, I missed that. What?
she later voiced Lois, but that was later
Oh,
on.
I totally missed that.
Yeah, so it's
Oh, that's
like you
crazy.
close your eyes, um, and you can hear Lois's voice, and it's kind of weird if you were to jump on into Superman the animated series, which
Oh
I think
man.
is underrated. It's an underrated piece of television because the characters aren't quite as well pronounce it as Batman, but it's well animated, and it's a good dessert. Like, if Batman the animated series is your dinner, Superman the animated series is a good dessert to have after you've eaten from
Completely
Batman's
agree.
table.
Like, the reason I knew about Lana Lane, or not Lana Lane, but her name was Lana. I don't remember her being a Lane. In
Lana Lang?
Lang. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. The reason I knew about Lana was because I would watch the Superman animated series. Like, so when Smallville came out, and it's like, wait, yeah, Lana, of course, because obviously, like, that's his love interest when he was younger. Who doesn't? Oh, right, people who didn't watch the animated series don't know this.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's fun. I know most of my comic book knowledge because of animated series like Spider-Man.
Oh, nice.
The X-Men, Superman, obviously, Batman.
I mean, with the whole '90s, not to take away from entertainment now, but like in the '90s, what they would try to do is try to make their films as adulty as possible, and then when the 2000s, it's like strictly kids, strictly adult, and you wouldn't have that type of high quality middle audience show.
Yeah, I'm liking where Deadpool is shaking that up.
Oh, well, snap.
I really like that he's Marvel, and I really like that he goes darker than a lot of the DC stuff. Matter of fact, I love the line in Deadpool 2. Oh, so angry. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe? It's just a great moment where you realize, oh, this is not your typical Marvel movie. This is not. Let's go with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Oh, Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And you were happy to watch Spider-Man in action, but honestly, pretty much everyone's a better Spider-Man.
If he didn't have natural web, I think it's a little detail that I get really hung up on, but
I do like the natural web because then he doesn't have to rely on a gadget that he invents, that he keeps inventing.
Right. But the gadget that he invents, what it is, and the tensile strength and everything that it can pull off shows off just how technically savvy he is. Right?
Oh, snap. Oh, yeah.
So with Peter Parker's, or with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, you lose that element. I never felt like Peter was smart. I
actually disagree. I think it's more that he's spending so much time being Spider-Man that he doesn't pay attention to his studies.
Sure. Let me rephrase it then. I don't feel like he's academically accomplished.
Oh, no.
Whereas Peter Parker, that I knew from the animated series, was. And then also it takes away from one of the biggest benefits that he got when he got the black suit. He got natural web when he got the black suit.
Oh, nice.
Which solved so many of his plot device problems from the comic book series. Because, at any given moment, the writer just says, and Peter runs out of web, and he has to solve that problem.
That's funny.
So once he had natural web, like, all those plot devices disappeared. So I feel like that one little thing, for me, is what made him the weaker Spider-Man of all the Spider-Man that we've seen. I will say the one in the 80s was kind of rough, so he might not be the worst.
I mean, Japanese Spider-Man is the coolest thing, because you're like, this is not... What's Spider-Man doing with a chainsaw? Like, it's so wrong that you just have to keep watching, Yeah,
and what's up with the samurai Batman anime? Have you seen this?
No, but I've heard of it.
The artwork looks incredible. Apparently it's awful as a production, apparently.
I mean,
but it looked great.
Here's the thing, is as soon as you put in superpowers, you've missed the point of the character.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm a ninja who can morph into butterflies. It's like Batman has no powers, you know.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you see the that's we should probably bring it back, but there is a Batman versus uh yeah, it's Batman versus Darth Vader YouTube video if you
Oh
haven't seen
yeah.
it.
Well, here's the thing: is I always feel like the trouble with Kevin Porter is he's just so good at Batman that when you watch a live action Batman, you're like, oh man, they should just cast him as the Batman, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
they really should have.
because the thing is, he has the face and he has the voice. It's like he looks like Batman and he sounds like Conroy, which is Batman, you know.
It's what you want for your Batman.
Yeah, so it's, you know,
I was very surprised at the call on Pattinson.
here's my thing about Pattinson. I never worried about him being a bad Batman ever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Bruce
He's
Wayne
already
is
been one, actually.
something that
He was
it's
a vampire.
almost what?
I said he's already been one. He was a vampire.
Oh snap! Like Bruce Wayne is something that you have to play two roles at the same time, you know. So it's I think I think it's a challenge for even good actors, like Keaton. Like I think Keaton's a great actor, but I don't think he's the Batman you would expect to be fighting crime at night. You know, you don't say, "Oh man, that Bruce Wayne, he's a normal one of us," you know,
Yeah.
normal billionaire.
So Keaton, it's weird because I saw him as Batman. Let's do a Bruce Wayne's and then we'll do a Batman's
Okay.
comparison. So Keaton, starting off, it's the most chill that I've ever seen Keaton in any role. So it threw me because it was the first thing I had seen him in, and then I go see him in other things, and I'm expecting the Bruce Wayne that I got to know in Batman, in other things, and maybe stretching from that. But what he had done is he had actually stretched to be that cool and calm, which was a surprise. But so pros and cons to Keaton's Bruce Wayne.
Oh, cons with his Bruce Wayne is that he's just too strange. You don't say, "Man, that's a normal Bruce Wayne."
Gotcha. So that doesn't fit into the recluse, like mysterious Bruce Wayne persona for you.
No, because I think of Bruce Wayne as someone who doesn't give a crap. Like he doesn't give a crap on what happens. So the ironic thing is, I think Bruce Wayne is really close to how people picture Ben Affleck being, just this partying rich guy who doesn't care about anybody, and that's his image. Which is why I think Affleck was an okay Bruce Wayne, because he was just playing a role that was really close to him. So yeah, okay. So now Clooney.
Oh, well, we can't skip Val though.
Oh snap.
I think Val is a great Bruce Wayne.
Oh, Val would be the best Batman if he had the best Batman suit. I believe that. Because he had the voice, he had the pose, but what he didn't have is a suit that looked serious.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, and we were still experimenting with the Schumacher, and I still say it's a take. It's the throwback to the Adam West Batman because it was so close. Like one of the things that my mom did not like about the Keaton Batman movies was they were too dark. She didn't feel like she could watch it and have fun. She grew up with Adam West as Batman. Like if you had had a more serious Adam West Batman, she probably could have gone for that. But the leap was just so big to her. But then she loves Batman Forever because it kind of finds that middle ground and does end up being a dark Adam West. Not as bad as Batman or Batman and Robin though. So yeah, so Val's stuck in this world where not only is his costume not going to make you take him seriously as
Yep. his
That's
world.
Batman.
It's neon.
The
It's
world is, yes,
PlayStation graphics. Those poor 90s
1996.
computers trying to render a full-on world. You know, there's probably smoke in that room, like of the computer processors.
Yeah, yeah. But so with him, we get a terrible Two-Face.
Oh man, don't.
Wait, I'm not
Don't.
gonna derail. Let's stick with the Bruce Wayne. Sorry, let's stick with the Bruce Waynes. The Tommy Lee Jones being miffed that he wasn't the Joker. That we just won't go there yet.
No.
So Val Kilmer, possibly the best all-rounder so far.
Val Kilmer.
I think he beats Keaton.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's weird because I prefer this is gonna lose me fans, but I prefer Ben Affleck's performance as Batman, but Christian Bale's is so much better written, so that I'm putting Bale at the front, not because I think he's as sinister sounding as Val Kilmer or as big and scary as Affleck, but because he has the best script. You have a character who's fleshed out and three-dimensional. Live action, though, we're not counting Conroy because Conroy would shoot up.
Conroy beats everybody.
Yeah.
So we'll end on Conroy, that's for sure, because he kills it. There's a couple of other guys that did some good work in the animated spin-offs and whatnot, but Conroy's it.
Yeah, I think Bruce Greenwood needs a shout out because if you're not going to get Conroy, he's a good Conroy was out this day. He's serviceable as Batman. He's not too much of a drop, but everyone else makes you say, "Man, can't you get Conroy?" You know.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like with the Jokers too. But there were some great Jokers in the video game series for voice, and
Troy Baker, he voiced Batman too.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he could have a conversation with himself.
Right, yeah, he's great. Andrea Romano, director of Mask of the Phantasm and director for the series and
voice director. Yeah,
she is the voice director of the industry as far as I've seen. She was talking about how each Joker should be their own. Each voice actor who brings the Joker to life, they should have a unique element to their Joker that you want. So she said the way she put it once was, if you want the Mark Hamill Joker, just get Mark Hamill. Get another guy and then expect the Mark Hamill Joker. If you're going to get somebody else, you're looking for another Joker, a different take on the Joker. And I like that concept of not pigeonholing an actor to another actor's performance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we got Keaton, we got Val, we've touched on Conroy, but we're going into Clooney land.
Oh, Clooney. But the thing about Clooney is he's Adam and West, but in our generation. I'm going to, man, I don't know, because the thing is, he's not trying to take the role seriously, but he makes it more watchable because it's so over the top. It's like, it's not, I'm Batman. It's more like, hey, you know.
I thought you hadn't seen this one yet.
I try. Get in 20 minutes.
So I think he might be the best Bruce Wayne.
Wow, I should see that one.
For live action. No, the problem is he's not Batman at all.
Uh-huh.
And Bruce Wayne should have a hint of Batman about him in the air of his performance. You know, when he's
a vague hint. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Keaton had the best Batman moment in Returns where he's looking at the bat signal. And that, I think, is the best moment of the character in live action, where he's just not himself unless the bat signal's on, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
That's a great insight into that character. That's awesome. So Clooney, solid Bruce Wayne, not a Batman at all. And what makes him a great Bruce Wayne and maybe the best is that Clooney carries with him an air of mystery.
oh, wow.
The problem is it's non-specific.
Oh, whoa.
So like Clooney's just got that oh, who am I thinking of? Not Gregory Peck. He's just got the swagger, the Cary Grant swagger.
Oh, yeah.
And Cary Grant, apparently, in all the stuff that I've looked into on him, the best role he ever played was being the public version of Cary Grant.
That's funny.
He always had that mysterious presence, right? So the reason I mentioned that is Clooney has that. If you watch and you don't know that Clooney has that naturally, you'll say, "Oh, that's the Batman element that we were talking about a minute ago, where Bruce Wayne, when he's being Bruce Wayne, there should be that little shadow of Batman somewhere." But it's just Clooney. So
put him in the middle.
Great casting choice. I'll say that, because he's got that mysteriousness to him. But
Purple Man.
all right, so this brings us to Bale.
Script.
How good as a Bruce Wayne? Leaving Batman out.
Oh, leaving that, I would say
Bruce
he's
Wayne.
a good 8 out of 10 Bruce Wayne, because I feel like Conroy's just raining on every Batman's parade, but you know,
Gotta forget about Conroy.
Conroy is like, hey, I'm Bruce Wayne. He doesn't want, it's his voice is like the opposite of Batman. So yeah, I guess that's the standard. If Conroy's a 10, Bale's a solid 8.
Okay.
And I think if he just had a little hint of Keaton, he'd bring it to a 9 in his Wayne.
So I liked that in Batman Begins, we don't see Batman for 2/3 of the movie. Is that right? Something like that.
Yeah, it's like halfway.
It's the most fleshed out we got to see a live action Bruce Wayne, in my mind. I don't know. Am I messing that up?
I'm not. No. But that goes back to scripting. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
Have it. You know, Hitchcock once said that there's 3 things you need to make a good movie with: the script. You know, and so I think the thing is, we could just go on the rabbit trail of saying every movie that isn't Iron Man or Mad Max 4 has a good script. You know.
Yeah. Well, let's look at this then. Every single Batman movie has a party scene, like a gala.
Oh man.
So we can use that as a frame of reference.
Oh snap.
Keaton in a gala scene doesn't.
Keaton would want to leave though. Keaton would want to leave. Bale would join the party. Kilmer would just be pensive, and I haven't seen Clooney. No. See Clooney. Give Clooney a chance.
When I heard that Bale was cast, I was coming off of Equilibrium.
Oh, but he was excellent in Equilibrium.
He was, so I knew he was going to be everything I wanted my Bruce Wayne and Batman to be. Like, I just instantly knew. I was like, "Yep, we're good. We're set." At this point, it's just a question of writing. And so I was glad I was not. If 8 of 10. No, it's got to be closer than that. It's got to be closer. I don't know. So he carries in the party scenes that playboy persona, which I thought was a good fit for Bruce.
I mean, as Batman, going down to the Batman, Kilmer, the suit holds him back. So I'd give Kilmer a 6, not because he's bad Batman, but because the suit just sucks the life out of his performance.
Right, but we're focusing on the Bruce Wayne half.
Oh,
now, right?
The Bruce Wayne. The thing is, Kilmer's okay as Bruce Wayne. He's not bad. He's not great. He's milquetoast. So I'd give him a 5 because he's not ruining the movie, but he's not making it better. You're just waiting for Batman to appear so he can sound deep again.
Yeah, I would say that Bale makes me interested in Bruce Wayne. Like, I want more Bruce Wayne on the screen, right?
Oh yeah.
That's a really good point. So, Batfleck. I have not seen Ben Affleck, so you're gonna have to.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna have to tell
Basically,
me how he is as Bruce.
Ben Affleck as Bruce is really good, but because Bruce Wayne is very close to a real life Ben Affleck, I think it's been kind of underrated. But as Batman, it's like you gave Michael Keaton a suit that works and a robot voice. And so while Affleck doesn't have as good of a speaking voice as Keaton, he moves a lot better. So he's basically like Keaton if Keaton was around, allowed to move around his suit. So I would say as a Batman, oh man, killing Dachshund. So I would say he's a 7, but performance wise, I'd actually give him a 9. Like, because if you were to see Batfleck in the street, you would say, "Oh, I'm out," And
is it the way he carries himself, or just his sheer size? What are you referring to there when you say you see him on the street and you're just out?
yeah, I think it's the way Affleck's demeanor is less of a I'll talk to you. With Conroy, which is part of why he's so great, is you could talk to Conroy if he's in a good mood. But with Keaton, with Keaton and Affleck, you're just hoping he doesn't kill you, So I think he has the flaws of Keaton, but what he doesn't have is he doesn't have the cinematography advantage that Burton has with the all black thing. So I would say he has better movement, but less of a presence than Keaton.
All right, Conroy.
Oh no.
We've talked about it a bit.
10-10.
What makes it 10-10?
What makes it 10-10-10?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay.
Wayne, Batman 10.
Okay. I'm gonna try. No, you are not my father. I am not a disgrace. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. So,
It's the dynamics. No. I get it. I think I see what you're going for there. Dynamic, right?
I'm not.
It can be subtle. It can be low, and then it can be angry and deep and piercing. Right?
Yeah. Sorry for piercing your ears.
No. I meant in my soul, not my ears. Okay. Hopefully, we are going to go ahead and normalize this.
Normalize it in post.
Yeah, it'll get compressed a bit. But he auditioned using this voice that he had come up with for Batman, and he couldn't speak for like a week after.
Oh wow.
And then he got the role, and he's like, in one of his interviews, he goes, yeah, I had to go home and figure out how to do the same voice without destroying everything, because it like vocal cords were going to start bleeding, kind of thing. Which I've seen. If you haven't seen I'm going to totally blank on it. It's the movie that helped inspire me get into voice acting at all. I Know That Voice.
Oh man, I should see it.
Yes, you should see that. It's great stuff. Anyway, I'm not even going to butcher names because apparently I can't remember any names right now. But the guy that plays Bender on Futurama.
Oh wow.
He's the one that ends up putting it together. Joe DiMaggio.
John
DiMaggio. Yes.
Yeah.
I always get
Not
Joe
the
and John
baseball guy.
confused. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So he put it together. It's his little way to bring some focus on the people he works with. So Hank Azaria shows up. What's his name that voiced Yakko shows
Oh
up.
wow.
Guy that voiced Wacko shows up. That dude's hilarious. Yeah, it's great stuff. Great stuff. And they talk about, coming home and they have to go on vocal rest because the voice that they were doing for a video game just destroyed. Like they were having to spit blood kind of thing after it was over. It's like, holy cow, you guys are dedicated. So one thing we haven't talked about, The Killing Joke has Barbara Gordon.
Well, the thing is, it's that they added material to it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's an extended version. I haven't read the comics, so I have no frame of reference.
I can't remember, though, so Tara Strong voices Barbara.
All right.
In the movie, or in The Killing Joke. But I can't remember, did she voice Batgirl in the animated series too?
I don't think so, because she's in her the late 30s now, so she would probably be too young.
Oh, that's true. I mean, she got
early 90s. 90.
I think she was working at 14.
Oh, so that could be the right age.
But I don't think she would have been doing Warner Brothers stuff just yet.
Yeah, that'd be.
I'll have to look that up.
Weird chronology.
Yeah, there's some great female voices that come through though. Like she was.
She does a lot of things, like Bubbles.
Yeah. So talking about earlier, you were saying that Dana Delaney plays Lois Lane, but is also Andrea Beaumont in Mask of the Phantasm. I've got two little girls. We watch a lot of My Little Pony.
Oh, that's funny.
And Tara Strong is Twilight Sparkle.
Oh.
So it was really weird watching The Killing Joke and how serious and dark that movie gets. Listening to Twilight Sparkle.
That's funny.
Girl, it was really weird. It's good stuff.
Good stuff. But just so I don't trigger Dark Knight fans, it's like saying Dark Knight isn't perfect and isn't saying Heath Ledger wasn't perfect in his role.
No, he was great in the role, but he's not Mark Hamill.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Hamill, he just nails the Joker.
I mean, he's got the material.
It's true. I just, that is a good point though. Like Mark Hamill's Joker is just a better Joker.
I mean, but the thing is, I think he's a better Joker in his video games and his movie specials than he is in the actual series, because he wasn't allowed to kill in the series much. And so it's kind of Joker light, it's like, well, Batty, I'm going to rob a bank again. And it's but it's weird, because it's like, if you could just tell movie directors Batman doesn't kill and Joker doesn't know how to not kill, you'd have that nice kind of mix there,
Mm-hmm. But Dark Knight, like you were saying, it's a fantastic film.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't have the entire comic book series in history to go with it, I think it's a great standalone.
Oh, it's absolute. You don't have to watch Begins to watch it. You can just plunge in.
Mm-hmm. You should watch Begins, because I like the character development of Bruce.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, it's great. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick anything about that movie to not like.
To me, it's the Dent fall, because it's.
I always forget he's in it.
No. Oh, wow.
Isn't that bad?
That is bad.
I mean, I don't like that Two-Face at all. I didn't like that Two-Face at all.
Well, it's the arc. It's
Exactly.
not the performance. The performance is amazing, but the arc is just it's kind of like I have this theme, you must follow this theme. No, I don't want to follow this theme. I want to be three-dimensional, you know.
Hmm.
No, I have this theme, you must follow this. It's like, okay, Joker's like, chaos is fair, you must be chaotic. And it's like, why does he listen to Joker if Joker destroyed everything he cared about?
Right. Well, I
But
mean, he's been traumatized. There's no telling what he's got going through his head. I
yeah,
will say though, yeah, so that push was hard to believe.
yeah,
Um, the thing for me that I've caught on rewatching is Dent is only the White Knight because everybody kept pushing him to be that. He keeps trying to give little hints that he's not that guy.
oh, that's good.
And so, in some ways, his break wasn't so much losing everything, it was the break that you have when you strive to be this idol that people are telling you you are, and you just don't believe it inside. You know, it's not genuine. So he kind of crumbles at that level too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think the trouble is, I think if you added 15 minutes to the movie, it would just make the progression feel that much more
Yes,
natural.
completely agree. I think he was supposed to be just a surprise villain. That was part of why we don't
Which
get
is
that.
weird because Dark Knight Rises, if you cut down 15 minutes, you would probably end up with a better movie.
Oh, I don't know. I rewatched it recently. I still haven't figured out why that movie doesn't work for me.
I think why it doesn't work, in my opinion, I think it's a good movie though. So I'm playing both hands. Um, but the reason why I think it doesn't work is because when Batman returns to Gotham, you're you're supposed to invest in all these characters that you haven't seen much throughout the whole movie. So then you're like, wait, why do I care about the city fighting each other?
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. I did like some of the theme. I mean, so here's what Nolan does really well. He could probably do a really bad movie that I'd like because he understands themes.
Oh, he does. He absolutely does.
Yeah, well, and deep themes like pulling from old stories, like
Oh,
the
all the myths.
symbolism of
Yeah,
yeah,
he's kind of in some ways. This will offend people, but I think in some ways he's kind of a better George Lucas. Like,
yes,
yeah,
oh
like
yes,
you have the hero's journey, the kind of the myth of the hero,
hmm
and kind of what how celebrity culture affects that and that kind of thing. And I think if you can complain about Nolan, it shouldn't be on his thematic materials.
yeah. If you're not into that kind of thing, then you could totally tear it up. I, but the thing is, eventually you're going to come back to those anyway. All the best stories have that.
I think best stories have themes, but they also have characters that affect those themes to happen.
Yes,
Which what?
yes, yeah.
So it's complicated because the thing is, um, the Great Escape, Le Grand Illusion, A Man Escaped, all is are about prisoners trying to escape, and they're all great movies, but they go in different directions
Hmm.
because the character arcs um, are more individual and corporal and affected in different ways.
Well, so we were talking about themes. There's character themes that he does really well.
Oh yeah,
Um, character, well, they're more interactions because that's where he messes up. I think you're on the right track. There is he betrays a theme of a character to facilitate a meta theme,
oh
and
yeah,
it doesn't
absolutely.
always, yeah, it doesn't always work for that character. But little things like Bane coming from underground, that's referencing coming from the depths, right? And then taking the tools that Bruce has forged and using them against him. I mean, that's an old myth. mean, it's just an old deep story.
It's kind of that Beowulf kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it's again, I think it's the mechanics of timing that make the third act of Dark Knight Rises not work, is because you have all these things happening, but you aren't given a reason to invest in the characters who aren't the orphans. You see them, but you don't see the city as a whole. And like just a quick shot of characters watching their TVs, I think would sell the emotion.
Mm-hmm. There were plot holes that were massive.
Oh, but
that really bothered me. Why Lucius wouldn't just flood the chamber instead of cooperating for the nuke reactor. I just see him activating the flood chambers instead.
I mean, here's the thing about plot holes. This could be its own essay, but I would say if you notice a plot hole, odds are 99% of the time you should fill it, and the other time you should have a good reason for not filling it. Mm-hmm. For example, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Indiana Jones arrives on the island before the Nazis do. Like, there's no logical way to happen, but it makes more dramatic sense for the character to be there, and sometimes you have to play into that drama, but 99% of the time it's just fill in the plot hole, fill it in.
Well, it's like they even nod to that in Emperor's New Groove when Yzma and Kronk show up blocking the path for Cusco and Pacha. and like I think it's Cusco has the set line where he says, how did you guys beat us here? And Kronk pulls out the map and he looks at the map and the way they went. He's like, yeah, hey, you're right. It doesn't make any sense. We should be way back here. It's just hilarious. And they're like, yeah, well, plot device, who cares?
Yeah.
Go with it.
Yeah, well, it's comedy. There's more flexibility.
That is the thing about comedy that makes it good. That's why Deadpool works with him breaking fourth wall and messing around, is because at the end of the day, it's going to be funny.
But let's see. Let's finish out this show, because it's like, it's good, but the trouble is you can have a 6-hour long Zoom call and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've covered the Bruces.
The Bruces, yeah. We covered the Batman.
Do we want to compare the Jokers?
Oh man, let's do it.
Okay.
We'll get backlash. Let's do it anyway.
Let's start. We skipped Adam West as Bruce Wayne, by the way, and that's.
Oh, but Adam West was a great Bruce Wayne. I'm putting him ahead of Kilmer and behind Bale.
I'm gonna go with that. Yep. Well, no, I'm gonna put him at the same level as Bale.
Oh wow.
Just because at the time in the 60s, you had the whole James Bond thing kicking off, and he was kind of an American James Bond. And I liked that. I liked that Bruce Wayne. I thought that was kind of a cool idea. All right, so on to Jokers. And we're going to start in the right spot, and this is what made me think of it. Cesar Romero.
I don't remember him, unfortunately. It's the 60s. I wish I could, but I missed those episodes. But apparently he had the mustache, so yes. that should boost him to a 2, no matter what.
And refused to shave it for the role. That was the trick there. It was quite funny because he was famous for his mustache.
That's funny.
All right, so he plays wacky, he plays funny, and he's got the cheesy element that I like about Hamill's Joker. I feel like Hamill's Joker has a bunch of different Joker personalities kind of rolled into one ensemble.
Oh yeah.
So he's the wacky fun guy.
But he's also messed up. Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, that's like a different layer.
Talking about Cesar Romero though.
Oh man.
Yeah, sticking with Caesar. So he's the wacky fun Joker. that I like about
Jack
Hamill.
Nicholson is more kind of the safe Joker. You aren't. He's not a bad choice to play the Joker, but he just didn't seem to go deep in his role like he did other roles. It's like, oh, we got Jack Nicholson and he's having fun, but you know what you're gonna get the whole way through.
Yeah, there's nothing unpredictable about his
Yeah.
Joker at all.
So I would say he's a 6, and I say this with regret in my voice because he's fun to watch, but he's not compelling.
Well, he's a good anti-Romero, right? So he went from he's trying to flip it and make it more serious. So you want even
Definitely.
keel, just solid. I mean, really, he's just a mobster with face paint.
Oh yeah, but it's the perma white thing.
Yeah. So he was a mobster with perma white.
Yeah.
And that's how he played it. And I thought that was it's a good choice.
But it's conventional.
The previous Joker was, but like you said, it's conventional. It's basic. From an artistic perspective, there's people up in arms right now saying, "But he was the first live action serious Joker." It's like, yes. Take the Joker label off of it and just make him what the villain of the Joker is, and
he'd be pretty much the same anyway. It wouldn't change much. You could have him not wear the, and I think that's where 89 is really good, is when Bruce Wayne just kind of cracks the base and he goes nuts because you have
such a great line.
Because you see, Jack Nicholson not break a sweat, and I think that's a good image, to have this character not intimidated by this guy just going postal.
Yeah.
And yeah, that if the rest of the performance were up to that level of control, it's just, I think the trouble is the role is just too safe. And that's a harsh thing to say about a groundbreaking superhero film.
But it was a very safe. Like I say, you could take the Joker label off of his character and just make him a mobster, and it still fits. It's exactly the same movie.
So let's see.
That takes us to.
Let's see what I think. The Joker in the Batman TV show was interesting, but I didn't really like him in the early 2000s. I just think his voice sounded a little too masculine to be the Joker, which is a weird thing to say.
This is an interesting observation. Yeah. Tell me
about that. I think Tim Curry is the best Joker we've never had.
Tim Curry is the best everything.
Oh, snap.
he's only got so much schedule. He can only do so many roles at one time.
Yeah.
He's still my favorite Long John Silver.
Oh, mine too. I think the thing is with Long John Silver, you want a character who can be roguish, but also someone you would want to be Jim Hawkins' friend.
Yep.
So I think
played it well.
Yeah.
So Hamill definitely has everything, I think. But like you were talking about, it was a little too masculine. I think he softened that up though as he.
No, I was talking about the one in the 2000 TV show that came after Hamill.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was a little too gruff.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, it had a gravel to it that you expect from Batman.
Yeah.
From the Joker. Yeah. Who was that?
Troy Baker is good, but it's also a Hamill clone,
Yeah.
So it's like, come on.
Well, Hamill's got it all is the problem. So if at any point you have an element of the Joker's character right, it's going to look like you're just copying Hamill's take on that part of the Joker.
Which is why I think Ledger is a really good real world Joker.
Yes.
I would say Ledger's as good of a Joker that can exist in our world.
Yep.
And I'd give Ledger a 9. A 9 out of 10.
Yeah, because I mean, what are you going to do? Beat Mark Hamill? Don't think so. Okay, so we did that. Penguin.
Oh man, Penguin's weird because Burton just Burtoned him. Like,
Yep.
yeah, so the thing is, any respectable version is just gonna seem like a old man who yeah. So it's like you're having to choose between one degree and one that's another in another area where it's like completely removed from the Batman universe. I don't know. I'm not gonna talk about Penguin.
I liked Burgess Meredith. I actually really think that's the best portrayal I've seen, except in the Bad Man YouTube series. Patton Oswalt guested as Penguin, and it was fantastic. So I would like to see that in an actual film at some point. All right, Riddler.
The thing about Riddler is, I think it always goes back to the animated series characters. Yeah, like they're just the best characters out there. So I would say whoever did him in the animated series, because he's like obnoxious but also kind of a hurt puppy, and I think that duality is the Riddler in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. I liked Carrie, but Carrie did feel like he was just copying. I forget his name in the Adam West series. He just turned it up a little bit to 11 and added some of his inappropriate gestures that are classic Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey was Jim Carrey was Jim Carrey. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's like he was carrying Tommy Lee Jones because Tommy Lee Jones was trying to upstage Jim Carrey, and he's not watchable. It's like a person stepping over their own foot. It's like you can't watch it from a good movie perspective. Like,
no, agreed. It's like just watch. If you're watching it to see Jim Carrey be Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
that's a good point. So we've had a Mr. Freeze in the animated series. Do we even want to bother?
No, because Arnold Schwarzenegger had heart problems during the filming of it, so it's not It's not Schwarzenegger at his prime, you know.
Right. Yep. Agreed.
So I think we should gloss over Mr. Freeze because it's a different. It'd be like comparing. Oh man, it'd be like complaining about John Wayne right after he had his heart problems in the late 60s. You're like, You're just happy he's there, you know?
I don't think there's any point in comparing them in that the writing is just terrible for Mr. Freeze and Batman and Robin. It's hideous. It's awful.
The one Ice Age, man.
Yeah. So we're just going to ice skate right past this one.
Oh, yeah.
And let's go to Catwoman.
Oh, man. Here's the thing is, I think Catwoman is someone characters overthink. You know, because with Anne Hathaway, she's just too wistful and soulful, I think, to be someone who's that devil-may-care character. And with Michelle Pfeiffer, she's just a little too weird, you know, weird and psychotic. So I guess I'm actually voting for Eartha Kitt as Catwoman because she has that nice husky voice, and yeah,
okay,
confident and not fearful of who she is or turning into. Like with Catwoman, you kind of want someone without fear, really.
That's true, and she did bring that to the character, I think. All right, Alfred.
Oh man, I really like Michael Gough. I really like Michael Gough, but I think Michael Caine is really good. But Ephraim Zimbalist, I can't pronounce his name. The one from the animated series, I think, is really close to Caine, but I think Caine just has that gravitas of being nice and being serious and nice.
Yeah, we've kind of over the years introduced the element that Alfred may have been a badass at some point,
Oh, that's not
you know.
surprising at all.
And right, it doesn't it wouldn't throw you off.
No.
It makes sense for the character. We didn't have that with the animated series, and we definitely didn't have that for the Adam West. What was amazing about him was how capable he was in the Adam West series. Like, you need him to fly the Batcopter and rescue you. Oh yeah, he's there. You need him to do this. He's there. He's there. You need him to pretend to be Batman. He's there. Right? He would do it all, and you never really questioned why. Uh, Michael Caine with his filmography, you kind of think that he would be fighting people in Burma, right?
Yeah.
For instance, Dark Knight. Yeah, I just think it's a good old father character. I think it's great. He's once BA, and now he uses all of that faculty to be a dad. I think it's a good concept. It's hard to beat Michael Caine.
Yep.
I do like Michael Gough though. I liked the more prim and proper.
Yeah, Go seems like the kind of guy who would be your butler. You know,
Right. It's like, why is Michael Caine the butler? Why isn't he
family
is why isn't
family
he just a
friend.
Wayne?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we covered those. Batgirl, I don't think there's a real need to cover that.
It's funny, but I really like Burt Ward as Robin. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, like I'm like, the thing is, I feel like everyone who's tried to be Robin just hasn't had that sense of fun.
Hmm.
So you just, I guess I keep going back to Burt Ward. So who's the best live action Batman? I guess we talked it, but we didn't quite get to a conclusion. I'm gonna
Yeah.
offend everybody, but I'm gonna say Adam West is the best live action Batman.
What? I did not expect that.
Yeah.
Batman only, or Batman encompassing Bruce Wayne too?
Bat Batman in live action. If I'm adding animation, it just Conroy just demolishes the competition. Like,
Oh man. Yeah, there's no question. But I did not see Adam West. But I'm totally blown away. Because for me it's Bale. I have to say it's Bale. Uh
he's got the
I,
best writing.
he does. But to your point, it could just be the writing. I, yeah. Yeah, I think he has the Bruce Wayne look.
he does.
I think he had that pretty solid. He carried himself
And I
pretty
think
Wayne.
he could have been Batman if he just channeled his inner equilibrium.
Yeah, it was the voice that
Mm-hmm.
for me throws it off.
Yeah, because he just put too much energy into it. You know.
Which, I mean, I get that one of the problems with all of the previous Batman, other than Conroy, is the voice is almost the same voice, just whispered.
Yep.
And he did actually try to dynamically change his voice in a huge way to where they looked like two different
I
guys.
like it at parts of Begins,
Hmm. Yeah,
and
it
I
was.
think it just got rougher the more the series wore on.
Yeah, it's Dark Knight.
Blast
You
the
know,
trigger.
yeah, I didn't get that for Dark Knight and for Dark Knight Rises. It was like it went to 11
Yeah.
for Begins, and it's probably why it might be my favorite one of the Nolan movies. Um, it was there, but you didn't think about it.
Oh no, it was actually natural. It felt like an extension of his emotions
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not something he's putting on.
But maybe that was the idea, is that he was intensifying his dissonance in himself until it finally he could be one person in The Dark Knight Rises.
Uh, eh.
Maybe. I don't know. So next time I talk to Christian Bale, I'll ask him.
uh,
Be like, what were you thinking there? All right. So we've covered Jokers. We've covered. All right. Here's one I want.
oh,
What Batman villain that has not been brought to the screen yet would you like to see brought to the screen?
oh, Hush. Hush is the name of the villain because he'd have that master of disguise thing that could be anyone, and he also has a personal connection to Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I would have said Clayface for the same reasons, mostly, other than the personal connection. Because I like the idea of Clayface.
Oh yeah, I like the idea of Clayface. I think it's just the execution could be botched so easily, you know.
Yeah, only Nolan could do it. But Nolan wanted his Batman to live in a world that made sense and be somewhat as believable as possible, right? So he wouldn't do a Clayface.
No, he wouldn't do Clayface.
He could do a Mad Hatter.
Well, Mad Hatter's weird because the thing is, the more realistic he gets, the creepier he gets.
Exactly.
You know, so so I kind of like fantasy Mad Hatter.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you remember Scarface?
Ooh, the ventriloquist. And
Yes.
here's the thing about Scarface. I think, um, I think the thing is it would be a great character, but the trouble is it's just too out there because it's weirder than the Joker, and yeah, and Joker's pretty weird. So you don't go much farther than that.
Yeah, I think it would be. That's a good point. It's not just weird. It's actually a better character than what you typically get with Batman. So all of the other characters would have to get amplified in how complex they are, you know? Just to
I
keep
mean,
up
that's
with how
true of
complex
comics because
that would have to be.
comics have the time span to flesh out characters.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Who are we missing? Who would be a good villain to bring to the silver screen? It's got to be one. I feel like the Harley Quinn thing has just been a disaster.
I mean, I feel like she's a weird character because she's a victim of abuse, but if you take a empowerment fantasy, then it romanticizes that abuse. So it's a weird
Yeah.
way. You know,
We didn't even talk about Leto's Joker at all.
I mean,
It just goes to show how we feel about it.
I think the thing about Joker is you have to find this line between trying too hard and not trying enough. And Leto just went all method, like, and it didn't work
writing.
from what I hear.
Yeah, I think it was writing for that one too. The image, I don't think we were ready for that stark difference of an image. We didn't talk about Joaquin Phoenix's Joker either, though.
I mean, but the thing about Joaquin Phoenix is, it's like he has his whole movie devoted to his character development. So it'd be Joker the anti-hero as opposed to Joker the. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so that's also another.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I will say there was something in The Killing Joke, talking about Joker, that stood out to me that was huge for all of the origin stories. You know, everybody's got their take on where the Joker comes from, and the reason for that is mentioned in The Killing Joke. He says it, I think, during his song about how it's easier to just go insane.
Oh yeah.
He says something about it was so bad, it was so overwhelming. That's why it's always different when he remembers it. So when we see different takes on the Joker's backstory. That's actually how the Joker remembers it anyway. We see that in The Dark Knight when he says, "You want to know how I got these scars?"
Oh, and in different stories.
It's I thought he was just making them up and just being goofy, which he might have been for that. But there's another layer now of maybe he genuinely remembers it that way, and it just changes for him all the time. He has no idea what the truth is anymore. That was such a different way to look at that.
Yeah, what I want to see from the Joker is Joker as mere henchman. Like, I think that's the only way he hasn't been portrayed cinematically. Is it's like you have a outbreak in Arkham, and then it's like, oh, the Joker's gonna play along now.
Yeah. If we got Scarecrow to like manipulate the Joker, that'd be something.
Oh well, Scarecrow's I always thought was a weak villain because
Oh yeah.
it's like, what is he gonna do to a Batman? Is he gonna put scare toxin in his face again? Like, he's a boring Batman villain.
He
but
was
I
fun
think
in the animated series though.
well, because they changed his art direction and made him more sinister, you know.
Yeah. By the way, Cillian Murphy, great in that role, I thought.
Yeah, he was great when he didn't have his mask on. He was scarier as Cillian Murphy than he was as the as the Scarecrow, which I think goes back to the writing, you know.
Yeah, agreed. So, all right, I think I found what we should end on though. Favorite Batmobile.
Oh, the Burton one. Burton.
The original Burton.
Oh yeah, with
Burton
the car, the
Returns?
rocket.
Returns, it splits off and you get the bat. What they call it, the rail. Where you
Well,
could go through an alley
with
that
your
was
returns, it kind of gets sabotaged. So I don't.
narrow. Yeah, so we're gonna go with that one. As I
Yeah.
understand it, Jeff Dunham agrees with you on that. It's the one he has.
Mm.
I have to go with Adam West.
Mm.
I like that it was actually just a Lincoln concept car that they put bat symbols on. It was, yeah, it's a legit car. There's something about the long, sleek, boxy shape to it that I like. No, you know what? I take that back. There is one I like better. Maybe. I don't know. The animated series, I really like that one.
Oh yeah, well they had a whole like painting matte shot, you know, to the Batmobile, so that's kind of puts it at a disadvantage in terms of what you see. The first thing you see is Batman's Batmobile, and just the whole intro is a masterclass on how to do Batman, because you see you have this little mini narrative, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you have the explosion, which implies violence, that they're not just playful thugs. And so they go on top of the roof and Batman's there and he glares at them. So it's like this train of action that escalates, you know. But the pilot is horrible. Have you ever seen the Batman the Animated Series pilot?
It was so painful.
It was bad. It's like, you know, you can see where the love was in there, but not the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Batman dances around bullets. Like, this is pre-Matrix stuff.
Yeah, Phantasm, like, I felt like I had to rewatch the series after I saw Phantasm. That was where I was at. It was like, it made me reappreciate the character of Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Oh yeah.
So that was cool. Plus the whole Ghost of Christmas Future look, that definitely had me in.
Yeah, the trouble is Phantasm has the best animation in the movie, and so any character that is taking up screen doesn't quite feel as because you have the the trail of smoke, you have the silver, you have the thin lines. It's all very elegant and sleek.
Mm-hmm. So we haven't talked about too. Apparently, live action Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton.
Oh man, that would be
is green lit.
oh snap
for a series.
Oh man, a series would be better anyway.
I think so too. I was really shocked to see that. Apparently, it's a go.
Okay.
I don't know who they're going to cast as what's his name, Terry. But yeah, if you've watched Batman movies, you like Batman series, and you haven't watched Batman Beyond, it's a great next step. The very first episode of that one's still my favorite too.
Oh wow.
Because you see aged Bruce Wayne, played by Kevin Conroy, just hitting his physical limits for age. Mm-hmm. And so he has to pass on the mantle of being Batman to somebody, or just quit doing it altogether.
Oh, snap. That's dramatic.
Right. That's the choice that he has at the beginning. And you meet Terry McGinnis, who's just a kid getting into trouble.
Oh, that's funny.
But we don't have enough mentor stories right now because there's fear of the sexual inference there between an older man mentoring a younger male. It's maybe not his father, because they talk about that for Back to the Future. They say there's no way we could do Back to the Future now because it would look like a pedophile situation. It's like,
no, it's just
that's how boys become men, is they get around
other men.
Yeah. And we're not seeing that, I don't think, right now. And
because in a way, it's like you're too afraid of saying what's too close, rather than saying be good to people of all ages, and hope that kind of redirects,
Yeah. So them greenlighting this project, if it's legit, which I'm pretty sure it is, it gives me hope for cinema and for TV storytelling, or just on-screen storytelling in general, because maybe we will start getting those stories again.
That'd be good.
Because I think we see a major effect of a fatherless generation right now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And we should start having that conversation. Well, John, it's been fun as always. Thank you. Did we miss anything? Was there anything that you wanted to cover before we sign off this time?
What I wanted to say is, in a brief sentence, is that I used to think CGI was something that was more stronger than stop motion, but I think it's more adaptable and flexible, and stop motion is more control oriented and realistic, and so it's a different kind of feel. But it's something that, it's like, if you have a person using stop motion effects, there's literally going to be 4 other people around the world doing that.
Yeah, that is a cool element about it.
So that's all.
CG, it's you started dabbling though, right, with modeling? What software are you using for that? So if anybody's interested in trying to try that out themselves.
Metasequoia, it's not cheap, but it's the nicest in terms of beginner curve. And I use an animation software called Cheetah, which is relatively cheap and easy to use.
Is that for the 3D?
It's for the Mac, but there are other programs, Blender, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I've used a little bit of Blender for 3D printing. I'm usually on Fusion 360.
Oh, nice.
For that, but it's not, I don't ever consider it for animation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you did some 2D stuff. Did you have any software for that was different?
I like to use Rough Animator because it's $5, but also, yeah, it has an eraser. It has the timeline with a grid on it, so it's very good for short animations.
Cool.
Um,
I'm gonna have to try those out. Can you send me the links for where I can get those? And
oh
I'm sure
yeah,
they're
I'll
in the
send you.
description below.
Oh yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. This has been a pleasure. It's good catching up.
oh yeah.
Glad COVID hasn't caught you.
Oh, I hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't too. All right, sir. You take care, and we'll see everybody next time. Thanks.
Uh,
Scene. And scene. And now I'm sitting here by myself and talking to myself. Chaos.